whenever I use Diablo 2 as a bad example, I always feel terrible with myself because I'm like, love that game.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Last Epoch. Mike, one of the senior developers at 11th Hour Games, held his normal Friday Q&A live stream on Twitch, which means I get to bring you Dev Chat 72. As always, Mike answered lots of great questions from the community and gave us some spoils, leaks, teasers. They were really good this week. And we're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump right into the first question, and I've never heard this before. I have never seen this before. And Mike said it himself. He hopes it comes back in the future. Listen to this.
Last week, cool. I had a look at your Kickstarter out of curiosity. I saw something called the Passive Grid there, which looked wild. Is that still coming, or is that idea discarded? Okay, so that's a throwback. Haven't talked about this in a long time.
The Passive
I'm gonna grab a picture of this because that's
Grid.
really interesting.
Look how excited he is. Look at the look on his face. The Passive Grid.
The Passive Grid is gone. It is not being replaced. It's not coming back, or it has been replaced. It's not coming back. That was the first version of our passive passive tree. So that was that turned into this. And you can actually see a lot of similarities there still. So if you'll notice, there's like your base class, and you've got 3 specializations to go down to focus on that each have specific passive bonuses related to that specialization, and then specific nodes that go with it. And certain some of them have connections like that, individual connections.
He's got the picture.
So,
don't worry.
Just looking at that basic stuff there. Let me add a source. Gonna get a new source. Passive Grid. Browse. But I just saved it there. No, I promise you, I just saved it there.
It's coming. By the way, new studio.
Yeah, see, I told
hopefully
you
finishes this weekend. Installing the new computer. Come on, Mike.
And let's baba booey.
Boom.
Okay, cool. So now we have this was the original Passive Grid. And this is a really cool. Oh, Kane just sent me the image too. Thank you very much, bud. Just get a big version.
Battle Mage, Elementalist, Scholar, and
so you'll notice
Warder?
there's still, and try and draw on these. There's these 4 axes going out. I can't actually see this on my screen, so I'm sorry if the drawings are a little bit off, or if you can't see my mouse at all. And what you would do is you would put points into one of the 4 squares in the middle, and it would extend out along the axis line. And any space that was covered in the resulting area that connected between the 4 different axis line edges were nodes that were available. It's basically the equivalent of this line here that's moving up as you put points in. And you could put points into anything that was touching the highlighted area. And certain nodes required other nodes to go into. So it's like the similarities are very heavy here. And we had the big thing that made this work was we ended up having to have 2 types of points. As you can see at the top, there's axis points and node points. And so the axis points let you travel along the axes, and the node points let you put them into the actual nodes. And then you also get bonuses based on the different quantity into each axis you have. That lets you then specialize into a specific type. So if you put points specific,
this needs to come back.
One, you'd be going into the Scholar subtype for Mage. Or if you put points into the red and the green one, you'd be going into the Battle Mage subtype, which, as we now know, have evolved into masteries of Sorcerer, Spellblade, and Runemaster. And yeah, so this is our original passive system idea. And I think there's a lot of really good bones here, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff, but it has some really inherent problems that we just couldn't break through, and we scrapped the idea. I'd really like to see something like this show back up as a like I like a separate mechanic specific, like a classless mechanic that interacts with something in the game world. I know it's super vague, but like a dungeon reward, or
you could make it happen. Moving on to some Runemaster and Warlock talk.
Well, some general idea how Runemaster and Warlock will play like. Not really. We're still very early in the development of both those classes. We've actually been doing a lot of a few weeks ago we did a whole huge thing on Runemaster. We burnt it to the ground and started from scratch. It looks amazing now. I know it's like terrible to like just bait you with that. I'm sorry. Warlock, we've been doing Warlock this week actually. Design, we're still in the design phase for it.
That's kind of spoiler-ish.
A lot of the all of the literature that's been released on them is obsolete now. And
so everything we've come to know,
so like even the descriptions you see in like, is there even a description? There's not even a description here. But when you go to your mastery quest, there's a description, and you see a skill there. None of that is staying. All of that's going. The description on the website is going to change. Like everything's going on both of them.
When is it changing? Leak number 1.
All right, here we go.
Higher. See the death?
So this is a bit of a VFX, or this is a fireball change, basically.
Oh, it's so much cleaner. And with the new death animations.
So yeah, that's the better version of what I'm playing right now.
That is huge for immersion. Might look small. When you put it all together, it's going to make a big difference. Now, towards the end of the stream, Judd, the game creator, the game director, jumped into chat and told Mike this, because it was rumored that communication came out today.
Oh, Warpath visuals are being revamped, animations synced up tighter. Overall, it's feeling much nicer internally compared to what is live. Cool. I didn't know if that was being shared or not, but thank you. That was Judd, the game director, popping in to say hi.
Confirmed Warpath refresh. Spoiler number 2. Go.
As promised. This one's pretty sweet.
This one is sweet. I saw this already.
Little Scorpy boy. Big Scorpy boy, actually. If you look at the scale on the right. Alright, will there be non-human classes like playable Nagasa or Osprix? I mean, so that's a really cool topic.
Look,
there's nothing explicitly on the books for that just yet. But I mean, a few years from now, I think that's a viable option of something to do, and I think it's really cool.
I see the skeletons.
Maybe there's a whole. Maybe
or the skulls in the skeleton.
Fully not.
Can I use this on my Acolyte?
Planned or anything like that.
Enemy,
but I mean,
sure.
I think about a lot of these things just in my spare time, and I think it would be really cool to add. Sorry, okay, this is the problem with adding, making it so that any class can be a different race is either it's purely cosmetic, in which case whatever, it's fine.
I'll let him finish his thought.
But if there's any mechanical value to it at all, you need to be able to switch between them, or else you've just multiplied the number of classes by this other thing that's non-mutable, immutable, whatever. So what I'd really like to see is like a new class, a new base class with new masteries, and it be a different race. Specifically, so it's like, oh, you're gonna play the I don't know, whatever class, and it happens to be an Osprix. I think that'd be
Great. My new unique armor that is coming to 090. I want it to make these scorpions. Mike, can you make that happen? Leak number 3.
Here is the update of something old that is now new. And in the meantime, while we're doing that, I found from my experience that pure melee builds, apart from a select 2 or 3, aren't that great. Is there any thoughts on improving this going forward? I think there's actually a lot of really good melee builds.
Get my face out of the way.
We try not to look at it as a melee versus range comparison. There he is. Look at that big boy. Yeah.
Certainly looks better.
We try to think of it as a melee versus range comparison. We just like to look at, we try and get as many viable builds as possible and as many varied builds as possible, things like that.
All right, everyone, we have come to our final question of Dev Chat 72. Mike, as always, thank you for continuing these Friday live streams. The community truly appreciates it. Now, for this last question, Mike kind of goes on a rant and he does talk for a little bit about character identity. Because the question is asked, I want to be able to use a bow basically on my Acolyte so I can shoot while my skeletons shoot, which sounds like a great idea. And Mike gives a really good answer, but the leaks just aren't done yet. On the official Twitter page and other social media platforms, Last Epoch or 11th Hour Games have put out multiple kind of armor set pages showing off more of what is coming to 090. And I'm going to put those on the screen while Mike answers this question, just in case you did not see it. 2 asks at the end of this dev stream. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today's the day I have earned your subscription. Hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it. It really does help the channel as we are going to close out the year. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 47 members that have signed up. Become an instant ARPG VIP and get Patreon exclusive content at the first link in the description. Weekly blog post, weekly podcast, access to the VIP lounge so you can chit chat with me every day, special title on the Discord, and lots of other things like added wheel spins at the end of the month. Again, first link in the description. That's all I've got. Mike, take it away.
Will you make the bow available to other classes? I love the idea of a bow acolyte running around with archer skeletons. Maybe. One of the primary pillars of design we have for the game is class identity. So that is kind of a broad term for saying if you can make something unique about a class and have it feel really cool and interesting, do it. And so right now, one of the things that's unique about a marksman is that it uses a bow. And that's kind of the crux of that mastery's identity right now. And it's not only that, there's a lot of other things too, for sure. But that's a big part of it. So, what's the, like, you know, what's the chances of us adding bows to other classes? It's possible. There's a few really good opportunities for it, and things that we've definitely discussed and looked at. There's nothing that's planned yet. That doesn't mean it's never going to happen. That doesn't mean it's off the table or anything like that. But it's just it's not. We're not like, okay, well, this skill is going to be a bow skill. We'd also would probably make them hybrid skills. So we need another skill that's a melee ability to have be a melee bow skill to use, or like make a new skill. So there's only one melee ability on Acolyte right now at all, and it is Harvest. Reap technically, but you know, if we're talking about skeleton archers, we're probably talking about Necromancer, and Reap doesn't really count, I don't think, and bow reap doesn't make any sense. Also, bow harvest is really weird, so like that's really tricky. So there's not a lot of space to put it on Acolyte right now. There'd have to be a new skill that would come along at the same time. Maybe there wouldn't have to be. Maybe it could be a bow only skill. But a bow only skill on a class that has almost 0 bow support, eesh, that's tricky. So then what's the other options? The other options are abilities that, and this is something we don't have right now in the game, may never have, but it's technically possible we could do in a weird way. None of these are planned. Just saying, it's not out of the question, because I know as soon as I say this, people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, it's coming!" And slow your roll. You could have a specializable skill granted by an item. So you could, maybe there's like a unique bow and it grants a specializable skill. A whole bunch of stuff we'd have to design and work out functionality wise before that could even be tried. But that's kind of the other option to put a bow ability on any class, is you make it so that the item grants the ability. So yeah, there's something we've looked at for sure, and there's something we've dug into a little bit. If I was going to pick another class to put bow compatibility on, it would be the first choice for me, and I think for a lot of people, would be Primalist, because it already has an ability that would work really well as a bow ability in Serpent Strike. So you could have that melee bow hybrid, and I think that would work really well. So I'd say that's likely to be what would happen first if there was going to be another class that would get it. I think you'd be looking there. I think also Sentinel has some good options, and even Spellblade has a couple possibilities. So there's basically everyone other than Acolyte has some good options for abilities that could be converted.